Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Let's look at Chapter 1, 2. I'm going to break Chapter 1, 2 in several videos. This first one is for Day 1. Day 2, I'm going to break into a couple of shorter videos so that it's not quite so long. All right, so this first part for Day 1, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about central tendency, and we're going to talk about the 5-number summary. All right, let's begin. So, central tendency. It's mean, median, and mode. Remember, the mean is the average, the median is the middle number, and the mode is the one that occurs the most. Now, the mean is the best measure when the data is normally distributed. There are no extreme values. Okay, so if I have a data set and the numbers are all clumped together fairly closely, usually the mean is the best measure of center. If there's a really large number that's like an outlier, then the mean is not. Then it's usually the median that is the best measure. If you have a really small number that's like an outlier, same thing. The mean is probably not the best measure for center. It would be the median, the middle number. When is mode the best? For example, let's say a used car dealership is advertising cars and the price of those cars. And he has a bunch of cars on his lot. Let's say he has like 8 cars on his lot that are the same price. Let's say $10,900. He has 2 cars that are $20,000, and he has 1 car that is $5,000. Okay, well, he wouldn't want to use the mean because the 2 cars that are $20,000 is going to make it way too large. Okay, that lower valued one isn't really going to do much. But so he's going to want to advertise that his cars, most of his cars are worth the $10,900. Okay, that's where mode would be used. Okay, that's just an example of it. All right, let's move on. All right, so remember when finding the mean, okay, and we use what's called X bar, X with a line on top, that is the symbol we use for the mean. You add up all the values and then divide by the number of observations. Okay, and that's what this is saying right here. Now, down here, we've got a compact notation. Remember, this thing right here is the summation notation. Okay, so that is just a short, it shortens it up. It makes it compact, so you don't have to do quite the symbolism. You don't have to write out quite so much. All right. Now, mean on the calculator. Now, generally, you're not going to have to sit there and add all the numbers and then divide. Okay, we've got this technology in front of us, this graphing calculator. Now, I've already typed some numbers into the calculator, and I've already sorted them. Remember, you can type the numbers in any order, and then remember how to get here. Let me remind you. You go Stat, Edit, and List 1. If List 1 is missing, reset your calculator. If you don't remember how to do that, Google it. All right. So now to find the mean, we go Stat, Calculate. Got to go right to Calculate and pick number 1, one variable stats. Now, if you've got the new fancy calculator, it looks like this. If you've got an older version, you just hit Enter and it should work because the calculator defaults to List 1. So we hit Enter until we see this. And the very first thing you see on the screen, that's your mean. So the mean of the numbers I've got typed in that list is 76.85. The second one is the sum of all of those numbers. So it added all of those numbers up. Now, if you look down here, it says n is 20. That means there's 20 numbers in the list. So if you wanted to verify, you could go ahead and take 1,537 and divide it by 20. And you should get 76.85. The third line, that is each number squared and then added together. Okay, we don't use that one at all. Okay, that third line, I'm sure in some other math class they may need that. Everything else that's on this screen, I'm going to talk about at a later time. There's one more thing I'm going to talk about in this video that you will find on this screen. Okay, let me go back to this. So that's the mean on the calculator. So the median, remember, that's the midpoint. Okay, it's the halfway. Half of the observations would be to the left, the smaller ones. Half of the observations would be to the right, the larger ones. But remember, you have to arrange them in order before you can find the median. Okay, this is going back to middle school stuff here, folks. If there is an odd number of observations, then the middle number is the center. That's the median. If it's an even number of observations, then you have to add two numbers together and divide by 2. Okay, this is just, well, okay, this part right here is to locate where the center is. Okay, that's just to locate where is it in the list. Is it the 10th number? Is it the 10th and 11th number? So that's what you would do to locate where the center of that data set is. But you should be able to do that in your head. Okay, if you've got 21 numbers in a list, the middle number would be the 11th one. Okay, if you've got 30 numbers in your list, that means the middle would be the 15th and 16th number added together, divided by 2. I'll go over that. Okay, but on the calculator will find the median for you. So if I'm on that same screen when I did all of that before, if I just scroll down, ladies and gentlemen, there's the median right there. So the middle of this data set is 79.5. All right, so the calculator finds that. Now remember, the calculator will not find the mode. Okay, if you organize your numbers in your list, it's real easy to find it. Okay, so the number that occurs the most, well, 73 occurred twice, but that might not be it. Oh, 81 occurs 3 times. Okay, 81 occurred the most, so 81 is the mode. Now, remember, there could be no mode. Okay, if they all occur the same amount, there's no mode. Let's say that there were 387s and 381s. Then the mode would be 81 and 87. So there can be more than one mode, but they would occur the same amount and they occur the most. All right, enough with that. Let's keep moving. Remember, you have the power to pause and rewind whenever you need to. Underneath the video notes, there's this applet that I want you to try. So I want you to just play around with it. So I'm going to pull this in and just show you. This is a good way to see, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening with the mean and the median as I add points. Okay, if I put a dot on there, if I have one data point, obviously the mean and the median are exactly the same. If I add a second point, okay, if I can get it to give me a second point, there we go. If there's only 2 data points, the mean and the median are exactly the same. Okay, now I'm going to put a third point up there as soon as I can get it to click on there. Come on, there we go. Oh, look. Okay, the green is the mean and the red is the median. Okay, now let's think about this. We've got 3 data points. Well, the middle one has to be the median because there's only 1 data point to the left, there's 1 data point to the right. Now the mean, however, is the average. Now look at what's happening. This data point to the right is much larger. So the mean is bigger than the median. Okay, very important concept to have. Okay, understanding where the mean is in relation to the median. Okay, I'm going to clear that. Okay, I'm going to put another point. I'm going to put a point here. I'm going to put a point here. Then I'm going to put one lower. Okay, there we go. Now look at what happened here. Again, the mean is the middle because there's only 3 data points. The median is the middle. There's only 3 data points. Now, since this data point is really small, notice what happened to the mean. It's less than the median. So I want you to play around with this, add points and see what's happening, okay? Play with it for about 5 minutes, all right? You can find that right underneath this video. All right, moving on. All right, range. You already know about range. Again, range is a middle school thing. It's the difference between the lowest and highest values, okay? Remember, difference means subtract, all right? It tells us how variable, how spread out, okay? But variable is a word that we like to use a lot in AP Stats. How variable is it? The variability, how spread out is it? Okay, keywords. All right, let's keep going. All right, I'm going to talk about the 5-number summary briefly, and I'm going to go into more detail about this with the box and whisker, but that's going to be the next lesson. Now, 5-number summary. We have the minimum. We have what's called quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, the maximum, and then we have what's called the IQR. Folks, we're going to be actually getting into some mathematics with this when we find outliers. The IQR, the interquartile range, memorize this, is Q3, quartile 3, minus quartile 1. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the quartiles. The quartile range, which tells us how far apart the first and third quartiles are, indicates how spread out the middle 50% of our data is. So from Q1 to Q3, that's 50% of the data. Okay, the IQR tells us how spread out it is. I'll go into more detail in the next video. Why do we need IQR when we have range? Well, range can be affected by extremely low or extremely high numbers in a data set. When this happens, range is not an appropriate measure of spread, just like the mean would not be an appropriate measure of center. To have a more reliable measure of spread, we can use the IQR. IQR eliminates extreme values. All right? All right, so I'm going to go over quartiles on the calculator, and then I'm going to quickly talk about them by hand, and then that'll be it for this video, and we'll do more on this in the next video. All right, so let's go ahead on the calculator first. Now, you already saw them, okay, when I had the screen pulled up before. When I do the stat calculate number 1, it's not only telling me the mean and the median, but it's also telling me all of the quartiles. The 5-number summary. Okay, they're right here. The minimum, quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and the maximum. Now we're going to get into details of outliers later on, so that will affect the box and whisker plot, but we're not there yet. I gotta not get ahead of myself here. All right, so let's look at what if we had to do this by hand, okay? What if they gave us a situation and we didn't have all of the numbers, and we can't put it into the calculator because we don't know all of the numbers, but I have some of the numbers and they give me information. So you would have to be able to use that information, and you might have to do it by hand. All right, now I've already put the numbers in order from least to greatest to save time. All right, there are 20 numbers there. So that means the median, there will be 10 numbers to the left, 10 numbers to the right. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right there, there's 10 numbers to the left, there are 10 numbers to the right. So that's going to be the median. All right, well, there's 2 of them, right? So that means I got to take and add those 2 together, divide by 2. So I already did that to save time. That would be 79.5, which is what you saw on the calculator. Now, it's obvious that's the minimum, and it's obvious that's the maximum. All right? Now, there are no outliers in this data set. Again, we'll worry about that in the next lesson. Now, the quartile 1, okay, Q1. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the left side. Okay, I'm going to look at this. Whoops, let me get that back. I'm going to look at the left side of the median. There are 10 numbers there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that means the Q1 is going to split them into 5 numbers on the left, 5 numbers on the right. Now, if there was an odd number of numbers there, that means the middle number would be Q1. Just like if there was a middle number for the median, that would be the median, okay? But here, we got to have 5 to the left and 5 to the right. So again, we're going to add those two numbers together, divide by 2, and we get 70. Same thing for the Q3. So there's 10 numbers to the right of the median. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to split those with 5 to the left, 5 to the right. So this is going to be Q3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, since it's an even number, I'm going to take those two numbers, add them together, divide by 2, and I'm going to get 90. So if you had to, for some reason, do something by hand, that's what you would do. All right, put them in order, count them out, and find the middle first, find the median first, then you can find Q1, then you can find Q3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes they will give you some data. You're going to also have to be able to read data. This is a program called Crunch It. Here's a summary statistics. You're going to learn about all kinds of things in this, but I'm going to point out, okay, you should be able to read it. This tells us how many numbers are in the data set. Here's the mean. Okay, we don't need to worry about the next 3. Here's the median. It tells us the range. It tells us the minimum, the maximum, Q1 and Q3. Easy to read. All right, I'm going to do, I think, one more. Yep, this will be the end. All right, let's see. So here, again, it tells us how many numbers there are. Here's the mean. Here's Q1. Here's the minimum, Q1, the medium, Q3, the maximum. All right. Ooh, this one also tells us the IQR. Okay. Did the other one tell us that? Let me take a look. I can't remember if it was there or not. Nope, that one did not tell us the IQR. So sometimes they'll even tell you the IQR, and this one's also telling you the range. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of day 1 lesson. I will see you in the next video.